wasn't long ago, 2 years ago, when Savannah went missing and then was later found murdered.
A life sentence has been thrown out for William Hain. He's the man convicted of kidnapping Savannah Greywind. The 34-year-old pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit kidnapping and providing false information to law enforcement. Last October, he was sentenced to life with the chance of parole. He appealed to the North Dakota Supreme Court, arguing he was incorrectly labeled as a dangerous special offender. The High Court agreed, meaning the highest penalty he could face would be 20 years in prison. Representative Ruth Buffalo has worked very closely with the Greywind family, and she told us today the ruling is very disappointing.
It is a devastating ruling, and it tells us there's so much work to be done, not only in North Dakota, but across the region and across the entire country.
A new sentencing date has not been set. We reached out to members of Savannah's family, but they do not wish to speak at this time about the ruling. To make sure you get breaking news like this as it happens, download the Valley News Live News app. It's free, and you'll get breaking news, alerts, school closings, the latest weather, and much more. Just search VNL News in the App Store or Google Play Marketplace. We also have a weather app, which can be very helpful. My advice is to download that as well. But for now, why don't you stick around? Hutch Johnson is here and can explain what kind of weather we're going to get tonight.
Mike, it's been a quiet day, and that's going to continue into our evening. Heavy traffic in the typical spots. There's the I-94, I-29 interchange with, typical slowdown in traffic there. Here is a look at wind speeds. They're a little stronger out to the west as expected, 10 to 20 miles per hour there. Under 10 miles per hour here in the valley and points off to the east. The heat is on in Montana, 87 in Glendive. It's 10 degrees cooler in Bismarck, and about 10 degrees cooler as we get into central portions of Minnesota. There have been a few more clouds out that way, but as far as the radar is concerned, it is looking quiet. Mike, this evening we'll stay in the 70s for the next couple of hours. As we go through the 8 o'clock hour, we'll dip down into the 60s. The wind will be persistent at 5 to 15 miles per hour across the region. That includes Grand Forks, with temperatures in the 60s all the way through the 9 o'clock hour. Coming up, we've been talking about a chance of rain this weekend. We'll update you on that. It does look like some of us will see a few rumbles of thunder as well. Your hour-by-hour forecast coming up in just a few moments.
All right, thanks, Hutch. The search continues tonight for the man who led authorities on a chase from West Fargo to Page, North Dakota. Investigators say the pursuit started last night in the 1400 block of Main Avenue when the motorcyclist was pulled over for speeding. They say the guy took off and raced to Page, which is about 40 minutes away. A perimeter was set up in that area, a code red sent out asking people in that area to report anything suspicious. Officials don't believe the public was in any danger or is in any danger, with the suspect being on the loose. Moorhead police continue to search for a man who stole a van using a hatchet as his weapon. It happened in downtown Moorhead just after 1 this morning. The victim says he jumped out of his van when the man approached and threatened him. The abandoned van was found about 10 minutes later. The suspect was gone, but he left the hatchet behind. He's described as being a white male around 20 years old wearing blue jeans. Anyone with information should call police. An early morning car chase ended with an arrest. Shane Filleriet from the Frazee area was arrested after leading police on a high-speed chase from Glendon to Holly. That chase ended after a Holly police officer used stop sticks to deflate the car's tires. The 27-year-old then tried unsuccessfully to run away on foot. He's in jail and has been charged with felony fleeing from a police officer. A cyber tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children led to the arrest of a Fargo man. Court documents say 35-year-old Jason Dvorak engaged in a sexual conversation with an 8-year-old girl on August 18th. Messages provided by Facebook show Dvorak talking about the victim's private parts, and Dvorak later received explicit photos from the young girl. Police seized multiple electronic devices as well as clothing items at Dvorak's home. A Moorhead man accused of murdering a man at the McDonald's in downtown Fargo pleaded guilty today. 45-year-old Miguel Cooley admitted to shooting and killing 20-year-old Gabriel Perez. Investigators say that Cooley shot Perez several times before leaving the scene. He was later arrested in Minnesota. A sentencing date has not been set. Are you willing to open your home to human trafficking victims? YouthWorks is looking for a few families that will provide emergency and long-term shelter for victims ages 13 to 22. Host home providers will have to pass criminal background checks and be licensed as foster homes. In return, they'll receive a $1,000 monthly stipend, specialized training, and ongoing agency support. It was a happy back-to-school day for students and parents at Discovery Middle School after 3 long years of construction in and outside. Valley News Team's Rose Itzkovitz explains how headaches tied to picking up and dropping off students are clearing up.
Tim Schlott says picking up his godson from Discovery Middle School last year was rough.
I did bump into a car one day, so...
You bumped into a car one day?
Yeah, trying to park. I didn't have enough room to turn.
But now he and other parents say there's plenty of room.
Room all over the place. It's a big relief.
As Discovery's massive makeover inside and out of the building is mostly finished, parents say the pickup and drop-off is much better.
I was in and out in 2 minutes probably, and the line was long.
It's part of a $16 million renovation project.
When the construction project started, the west parking lot was closed and our contractors used that to park their vehicles. And so when you have 500 vehicles or so, bombarding one space, it's a nightmare.
Head principal Vincent Williams joined the school 3 years ago, right when the construction started.
And so now we have both the south and the west for pickup and drop off.
Williams says after 3 long years, the first day back to school morning drop off went smoothly.
We are finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
So what can parents do to help? Principal Williams says don't forget to hug your kids goodbye.
But we need to keep the traffic moving
Before you hit that drop off spot. In Fargo, Rose Itzkovitz, Valley News Live.
Williams adds that with more than 1,000 students being picked up and dropped off, the wait time was about 10 minutes or so. Now parents say they're in and out in under 5. Still no contract agreement for Moorhead teachers. The two sides meeting again today, and again with special education workloads a major topic. Moorhead isn't the only district still negotiating. Fargo plans to talk again with its teachers on Monday. More students are starting school in Valley City this year. The district says more than 1,100 students are enrolled, and this is the first time it had hit this benchmark since 2011. And the same can be said in Fargo. Fargo Public Schools saying it's seeing an increase in the number of students it's serving this year as well, with more than 11,500 students enrolled. Enrollment numbers will become even more important to local school districts. This year, the North Dakota Legislature kicked off a 2-year plan for state aid, having it tied to how many students they're currently serving. Right now, school districts receive funding for the student population they had the year before. The change will help schools like Valley City with growing enrollments, but it could hurt those who are losing students. State Superintendent Kirsten Baszler says she's confident that the change can go into effect without hurting shrinking school districts. She says the change doesn't go into effect until the 2020-2021 school year, so there is time to find a solution. Hockey fans have a reason to cheer in Crookston. The sport is returning to the University of Minnesota at Crookston. The school has applied to become a member of what's called the American Collegiate Hockey Association, with the hopes of starting a men's hockey team. The school says a nationwide search for a coach is also underway. The North Dakota State College of Science is stepping up to the plate, so to speak, adding baseball to its lineup of athletic teams. NDSES says that the team will get going next year for the 2020-21 season, and it will compete at the Division III level. The search is currently underway for a head coach. An exciting new chapter has begun for young men and women who moved into MSU or will be as students unpack into their new surroundings. Don't be surprised if you run into a little traffic on your commute. Family and friends are all there trying to get their college students started on the right foot.
Yeah, the process has gone very smooth. Lots of people to help us.
I actually only had to carry one box in. Everyone else kind of did the rest.
We thought she had a lot, but it all fit. We're not taking much home.
Up in North Fargo, NDSU's move-in day is this Saturday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Classes for students at the colleges and universities in the area begin on Monday. Looking for something wild to do tonight? The Red River Zoo is offering free admission. Not only can you check out the animals, you can also enter to win door prizes. There are also carnival games, inflatables, and zookeeper chats and demonstrations. Tonight's event runs until 8 o'clock. Later on Valley News Live at 6, details on today's fundraiser where the main attraction was a yummy Sloppy Joe.
And typical temperatures this time of the year in the FM area are right at 80 degrees, down into the upper 70s for Grand Forks. Today's highs in the mid 70s. It does look like we have some rain as we close out the work week and head into the weekend. I'll have the very latest in your updated forecast next.